Chapter 22. Iwamura is ours. Our ruse had worked well. No sooner had the trap been set than the enemy had fallen into it. A few days later, Lord Akiyama sent two of the prisoners as messengers to the castle. They were splendidly dressed in clothes my lord had given them and carried gifts as well as a letter. Although the contents of the missive were naturally a secret, a rumor soon spread that Lord Akiyama had offered to marry the widow of the lord of the castle, and to keep all who were willing to serve him as retainers in the same positions they had held under Lord Toyama. Wada Kansuke laughed when he heard this, but did not deny the hearsay might contain the truth. They say she is very beautiful, and to get a castle like Iwamura, and a woman who you not need to feel ashamed of, either by lineage or by looks, would no doubt suit my lord. But if she is like her nephew, my lord had better sleep with his dirk under his pillow, and ask her to taste his food first, I objected. Besides, could she marry without her nephew's permission? After all, Nobunaga is head of the Oda clan. If she is as headstrong as most of that family, the very fact of having to ask would make her do it. I think Lord Toyama was her third husband, so she will have someone to compare Lord Akiyama with. Again, the samurai grinned. You would like him to marry her, I asked, for I felt that Wada Kansuke believed the rumor, because he approved of it. It would be well. There are those within the castle who are more friendly to Takeda Shingen than to Nobunaga. The Odas, too, are strangers here, more so than we from Kai. If the two of them should marry, we shall have conquered the castle more securely than we ever could by the sword. Kansuke looked down at the ground for a moment and then up at me. Oda Nobunaga has decided upon her other husbands. Maybe for once she would like to choose for herself. Toyama preferred his kept woman to her. He was afraid of her, or so I've been told. He was a sickly, weak man, not strong like our lord. Lord Akiyama is handsome, I said and nodded, but she does not know that. I don't think she's ever seen him. She will ask her two young samurai to describe him, I'm sure. I wonder if he sent her a poem, too. Does Lord Akiyama write poetry? I asked, a little surprised. No, but he can copy it with a fair hand if someone else has written it. Wada Kansuke smiled, as if remembering something that had taken place a long time ago. I could not help wonder if Kansuke had supplied my lord with poems when he had served him in the campaigns Lord Akiyama had fought when he was a young man. If the castle does not fall soon, we shall have snow, and then those who burn the houses in the village will be sorry for their deeds. I had thought it unwise that we had destroyed so much of the village of Iwamura in our first attack. Its more substantial buildings would have served us well in the winter months, and now I felt that it was even more foolish that we burned the few hovels we left before we retreated. It will fall. Wada Kansuke seemed confident. They have hardly any food left. We got the news from one of the prisoners. Since we have promised to harm no one and let each retain his swords in his honor, there will be many among the samurai in favor of surrendering. But will they trust our word? I could not help but ask. Their empty stomachs will go a long way toward convincing them. It is well that Lord Takeda Shingen has a reputation for keeping his word, whereas Oda is better known for treachery. All of this will be weighed when they make their council. You can be sure of that. For the next 3 days, Lord Akiyama sent two prisoners each day to the castle bearing gifts and messages, yet received no reply. Orders had been given to the archers who were stationed near the walls of the castle not to shoot unless they were attacked. The gifts sent to the castle contained nothing edible. I was told that Lord Akiyama had sent Lady Toyama a set of brushes, an inkstone, and fine paper. Considering that we had caught two of their messengers attempting to reach her nephew with letters, the gift seemed to me ironic. Most of the soldiers had but little to do. There was no longer any danger of a renewed attack from the castle, which left the bulk of the men restless. Hunting parties and an archery competition were arranged. My skill with a bow and arrow were not such that I dared enter, but Yoshitoki had done so, and I made a point of coming to watch. He had little chance of winning, for among the participants were some who were famous in all of Kai. Lord Akiyama was among the spectators. It was a cold but clear day. The distance was 50 ken, at which I would have considered myself lucky to hit the target at all. Yoshitoki was the first to shoot. He did well enough not to disgrace himself and would soon be among the upper half of the competitors. Stools had put out for Lord Akiyama and the senior samurai. When Yoshitoki had finished, he joined me. We stood among a group of young warriors not far away from the older samurai. I noticed that next to Lord Akiyama is a young man who I had never seen before. He wore an elegant hunting jacket of silk with the mark of Lord Akiyama, an orange flower on his sleeve. Who is he? I asked Yoshitoki. Who? Yoshitoki wrinkled his brows if he did not understand who I was talking about. I suspect he knew perfectly well. The young man in the silk hunting jacket, who was sitting next to my lord and has a pale and sickly face. I said, and turned to look at my friend. It is his son. Yoshitoki shrugged his shoulders. He came from a few days ago from Kofuchu. He is an adopted son. I had heard of him, but never seen the young man. When I had stayed at the Akiyama mansion in Kofuchu, he had always been away at Takato Castle. He does not look well, I commented. They say he has been very sick, but that he is better now. Yoshitoki looked at the young man whom we were discussing. It looks as if he still carries some sickness within him. In a moment of weakness, I had told Yoshitoki of my dream that Lord Akiyama would adopt me. He said nothing. He only smiled. I thought now, as I watched upon my lord leaning towards his son and commenting upon the competition they were watching, that it had been a foolish fancy. I hope that you are wrong, and that he will truly get well. I wanted to make my friend understand I had outgrown such childish dreams. At that moment, a samurai on horseback galloped up the field. Dismounting nearby, he threw the reins to someone, then ran and knelt in front of Lord Akiyama. We could not hear what he said, he was too far away. It was obviously a message of some importance, for Lord Akiyama rose immediately, walked away, followed by his more important retainers. By an unspoken mutual agreement, Yoshitoki and I walked away from the playing field and followed Lord Akiyama. We were curious to find out what the message was. Lord Akiyama had moved his headquarters to a hillock which had a clear view of the castle and the gate. Here a rude hut had been constructed, but consisted of one large room. The top of the hillock was flat, and this small field had been divided by a cloth of dark blue that carried the orange flower of Lord Akiyama in its center. We did not dare go beyond that wall of cloth, but waited impatiently with a group of samurai. We were told that a messenger from the castle had arrived, but no one knew what news he had brought yet. I had noticed his horse, a magnificent beast, surely the best in the castle. The servant was holding its bridle at the foot of the little hill. They are going to surrender, I said. Yoshitoki shrugged his shoulders as if to say, who knows? I was right. Iwamura Castle was ours. One of the high-ranking samurai came out from behind the cloth screen. When he saw me, he smiled and beckoned me to come. When I drew near and bowed, he bade me, with a wave of his hand, to follow inside the hut. How much food can we spare? Lord Akiyama frowned, as if he himself were counting the kokus of rice, millet, and barley in our store. It depends on how long we are to be here, I answered, a little confused, for after all, it was not an easy question to answer. We have enough without fresh supplies to last for at least 2 months, keeping the rations as they are. Find Kansuke and tell him to come here. I want enough rice brought to the castle that no one within shall complain that an empty stomach has kept them awake this night. Tonight we guard the gate of Iwamura, and tomorrow we enter the castle. This is the agreement. No one within the castle is to be treated as vanquished. All are to be treated as loyal retainers of Lord Takeda Shingen and myself. With a nod, Lord Akiyama dismissed me, and I almost ran from the room, eager to fulfill his command.